Hey Mom, I'm gonna cuss in this one.
Oh, I'll be ready.
Hello, I'm Marky Dragon, also known as Marcus Eikenberry in real life, and I want to tell you how I got fucked. Like I said, well, that's how strongly I feel about this. So, I talked about this in the last episode in this series. I talked about having had this awesome company selling computer parts. We were doing $250,000 in sales a month. This was back in 1993 through 95, somewhere about there. And it was going gangbusters, but it was a tiger by the tail. I couldn't hold on to it. And if you go back to the previous episode in this, I tell you exactly my downfall and how I caused the entire thing to come crashing down, even though we had sales out the wazoo and people wanting to buy from us. And you know, how can you fail so bad on such success? It's possible. All you gotta do is make some mistakes. So, anyway, I had this failure and was selling my company. So from the having this computer store and then being so successful in it and having this failure, and I ended up with $140,000 in debt, and I ended up with about $80,000 worth of stock on hand. And I don't know how I got myself into these numbers, but I do remember that part of it was a mortgage for my home. I'm out in the middle of the forest. Can you tell? The bugs. So the I had I think all in all it was about $180,000 in debt, and that included my personal debt with a home loan, but also debt with the company. Now, the company, as of closing it, as of the time where I was shutting it down because of all the mistakes I described in my previous video, the company had about $80,000 worth of stock, and so I had acquired some buyers that were going to buy the company, and they were going to. We had talked about this. We had verbal agreements that they were going to buy the company. They were going to buy all of the stock. They were going to buy our customers, and they weren't going to buy the company name. They ended up doing. They were going to use a new name, which was fine by me. So here's the deal. We had these verbal agreements, and so in talking about all this, I had equity in the company of about $80,000, and then I had this other debt, which the company total I remember was about $120,000. And so what was to happen was that they were going to take the company, take the debt, and I was going to walk away with $40,000 in my pocket. And so, you know, because the clients are all worth something and all of this clientele, and we had gangbuster business, I tell you, we were opening up daily at, and I think like 11 a.m. or something like that, because we would run to the wholesalers in the morning, and we would come back, and every time I get there, there'd be a line of people at the door. And I'm like, we haven't even opened yet. So, you know, so it's like, okay, well, next week, let's open at 10:30. Obviously, there's business to be had. We should open earlier. It got all the way down to where we were opening at 8 a.m. and we still had a line at the door every morning. And it was just insane. It was great, but it was insane. So they recognized the value in all of this. And they recognized my inexperience in dealing with business contracts. So they handed me this contract, which, you know, I talked to them, okay, verbally we agreed on this. Is that in the contract? They say yes. So then I'm like, okay, sign on the dotted line, here it is. I signed the company over to them. And they said, okay, we'll have it fully funded within the next couple of weeks. You'll get a check in about 2 to 3 weeks. And, you know, we're going to bring the business back up and running right away. and then, you'll have your money 2 or 3 weeks. I turned over the keys, I got the lease signed over to them, I got all of this stuff done, and didn't think too much about it until I got the check in the mail. It was probably 2 or 3 weeks later. I don't remember the exact amount of time. I remember I did have to wait, but I don't remember how long it was. I got the check in the mail, and it was for $386. And I'm like, there's got to be a mistake. So I go over to the store to talk to them. Of course, they're not there. They've hired somebody to work for them. And so I am trying to get a hold of them and everything. And they tell me, when I get a hold of them, they say, you signed the contract. That is the exact number that's listed in the contract. And we had an agreement. You signed off on it. Okay. There's nothing I can say at that point. Go back home. I go and I look at the contract, and sure enough, there it all is. Not only do I only get paid $386, but I also kept all of the debt. And with all of that debt, I had people that I was supposed to be paying off like immediately. Like they were waiting on these payments. And, so this was my only, to sell the company and go out of business in this way and get them to cover the debts was my only way to honorably cover the money that the company owed. And that was my whole goal. I wasn't looking to rip anybody off. I wasn't looking to screw anybody. I was looking to do honest business and have a good name. And that's all I was trying to do. But even with the best of intentions, I didn't know that I should read the damn contract. And, common sense tells you, you should have read the contract. I understand that. It didn't happen. I just didn't do it. I think I was about 25 years old when I sold that company. And so it was one hell of a lesson. That turned into my first bankruptcy because I had no way to pay all of these people. And so that was very disappointing to me. It was a very low point for me. I mean, I had all this success in my hand, but then I couldn't do anything with it, So anyway, I got totally screwed. I won't cuss again, Mom. But they screwed me good. And since that time, I definitely learned how to read a contract and to make sure that I understood everything in it. Because, there's all kinds of terms in these contracts that you just don't know what it is and everything. And so you have to do what's called clearing the words. And that's what I do these days. So when I went to get refinance my mortgage many years later, I remember this because we had, it was like a 125-page contract or something. Mortgage contracts are enormous. And so I remember telling them that I wanted an AM appointment because I planned on reading the entire contract, which meant it was going to take me a long time. Hello, dyslexic, ADD, it's in 126 pages. Come on, it's going to take a while. So I remember telling them that, and they assigned us something at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, whatever. So I distinctly remember that I told them that I was going to read the whole contract and that they wanted it signed that day. All the documents were prepared with that date on it. So it had to be done that day. And I remember our mortgage broker going out and getting dinner and bringing it back for us. And we were the only ones left at the office because I was still reading the contract. He had great patience. I got to give him kudos because he probably had never experienced that before. But I was so focused on not getting screwed that I had everything that I went through there and I understood everything. And so whenever I came across a word I didn't understand, I made him explain it to my satisfaction or look it up in their realty books and in their mortgage lending books. And so that I could make sure that I wasn't getting screwed. I was getting screwed. It was a high interest rate, but that's a whole nother story. I did that one 100% knowingly. So anyway, In the next episode, let me tell you about how what bankruptcy is like, and what it's like to go bankrupt, what that means, and everything. And but before that, the moral of the story here is read the contract, even if it takes forever. If you don't understand the words, look them up in a dictionary, look them up on Google. Google is great because you can go define the word, no spaces, and it'll look it up for you. I don't have internet connection out here. I was going to show you how it works with voice on your Android phones. I say define bankruptcy, and it reads me the description out loud. So don't with your phone in a public area say define hemorrhoids and have it start talking to you. That might be a little bit embarrassing. Anyway, stay tuned for the next episode. I'll tell you all about bankruptcy. I'm Marky Dragon. Take care.